we go. So this part right here, it's got just a little bit of those white edges. Turned out really well, actually. I liked how that turned out. And we're still going to work on a little bit of I thought this area turned out pretty good down here. I can take that shine off right there. And we're going to continue what we did here in a few other places. And it really involves you getting that red removed. Just keep doing that until you're able to get a good chunk of the red removed. Because when you do, it's going to reveal a little bit of that pinkish color and give you a little bit of white halos around, white layer relicing, which is pretty cool. So, see how it adds a little bit right in there, that area? It sells it. So we've got a little more to do here. I already did some work on this, but this needs a little more knocking down. This triangle needs knocking down. And then I'm really not going to go much further on the back in that area. So when you work on the triangle, fresh razor or one that you've only used for scraping paint, and you can go away from you, which takes off a little bit more than when you pull it. Now we're getting there. So in just a few scrapes, you can see this is now getting lighter with a little bit of that pink coming through. And it just shows that it's been used quite a bit, or a pair of jeans have rubbed up against it a ton, whatever. And I usually just keep working on it until I really like it. And I'm just about there. When that starts to happen, stop. Make sure you stop, or you're going to have to come back here and tape this and repaint it and everything else. And we don't want to do that. That's more than enough relic right there. We don't want to continue with that. But you can see the variances in color and the tone. See some white popping through, things like that. And we're going to do a little bit here. And I still want to work a little bit on this area behind. That turned out really well too. So I want to do some more areas here, and I'm going to knock a little bit of this down here, this whole area. And something else that works, that naphtha takes off just the slightest little bit of color when you rub it to get rid of the adhesive that's left over. Well, you can use that to your advantage, and you could also keep working on the red to where it gets a shade lighter, then a shade lighter, then a shade lighter, and you can keep doing that. I found another piece I left on there. Okay, so you can do that because you risk it with the razor. You risk having, white that just you didn't mean to reveal, but it comes completely out. But if you have a delicate hand and a sense of risk, you can still use that razor. And there is pink underneath the red. So look for the variances, or at least having this appear much lighter than the red on the rest of the body. And I'm not going any further than that. because we've now got that. We've now got that variance, and you can see how much thinner it is in the color through here. And when we put the clear on over it, you'll see it very clearly that it's a much lighter shade. The paint is thinner, revealing more of the detail in the white underneath it. In an area like this, I want that done more, but you have to have the lightest touch because there's too many ridges here from the paint. And if you go too much, you'll really start to reveal more of the white, and you don't want that. Remember, you're selling it. You want it to look somewhat real, legitimate. That's plenty. I don't want to do any more. So that's where I'm pretty happy with right there. To do more risks doing too much, and then you have to come back and do a section all over again, and you don't want to do that along this line here. So I have a tendency to want to pull towards me so that when the scrapes happen, it starts looking like, you know, you went to set it down on the edge of a stage and you scrape the whole back. But if we kind of look at that little area, it looks like it was worn away from just constantly being, you know, mistreated, rubbed, whatever. So I'm going to do more of that. I'll do that off camera. It's very time consuming. And let's say you got another hour just to sit here and watch. But I'm going to do that basically from this point here all the way around over to where this belly cut starts. This whole area, and we're going to start working on knocking down the red in here. Dollar brush at Harbor Freight. It's brass bristles. What I wanted to show you is that it works fairly well in these areas that get a lot of wear. I just did this spot right here, and it looks fairly natural. Who knew? So what I do is I take it, and I don't want to do this top area, I want to do this bottom edge. And you can go like this in different directions, and you can do swirls. And by just doing a little bit, you can get that little bit of wear right there. Because there's times when you don't want to use the razor, and you want to have more of a subtle look. And I'm going to do that all the way around here. But with a minimal amount of effort and time. And remember, we're going to clean up the red that comes off of here as kind of a last step. You can show where. And we know that there's a bunch back here towards the back. And there, you can see that it was thinned out quite a bit and worn. A really rough paper, maybe a 120 grit. There, see how the red is left into the grooves of the grain? That's on there. So see how that's, you can see that there was something there. But you do have to be careful. You don't want getting that red powder from doing this into all the wood. You could go in one direction if you wanted. And rough up that bottom. So I'm not going to do any more. And I have to come in, I have to clean up some of the pink that comes over onto the white. And naphtha works well for that. So, and there's some areas that have just minor wear, and a little bit goes a long way. Like that area right there. That area right there. Where the hand goes. So you can see, and you know the ends get hit up a bunch. Do a little bit there. Let's do a little bit up here. So see that little bit we got to get off of there? We're going to do that, but that's good for right now. But I just wanted to show you that while I was thinking about it and had it in my hand. We're getting closer, but got to rough up this outer edge, because if we had all this wear, you're not going to have a nice clean line right here. And that's really where a good razor comes into play. And you can kind of just work it around, show that there was a bunch of activity down there, little stabs, little lines. I've already done around here, so I'm just going to kind of continue and try to just get that red to fade out, because there was a bunch of activity right there. Moving in different directions helps as well. I don't want to just keep going in the same direction. So I want to crisscross, I want to add a few spots, tiny little circles. So I want to fade in a little bit of this red by just taking it off in very, very thin layers. And you'll start to get little breakthroughs like that. And you're showing that there was a bunch of activity there. Like that. I wouldn't do any more. Selling it. And that is what relicking is all about. You don't ever want somebody to look at it and go, why'd you take a razor to that? Or why'd you drag that across the concrete? But I really don't want to do much more. Don't make me. Please. I want to blend this area in.